Hello. um, we are going to be making dumplings yet again, but I'm also going to be making myself some dinner. I have some chickpeas that I just cooked in the Instant Pot. I bought some cauliflower and green bell peppers. Now, normally I really don't like green bell peppers, but they were 2 for 1. And then I remember Mom liked them. I'm just going to give everything that Mom liked to eat or to feed me a try again. You know, going through a transitional phase in my life where I am open to influence. So that's what we're doing today. Grandma's doing okay. She actually just got put on an antidepressant. I think she had been acting out a lot at night, which made the nursing staff finally take notice of the fact that, like, Grandma might have some issues going on. So she's been adjusting pretty well, I think, to the medication. Her behavior seems a little bit calmer. Oh, my laptop's out of battery. Well, I'm gonna go charge it. BRB. Did everyone in the Northeast and maybe parts of Midwest survive the apocalypse of Canada's on fire and the hell smoke that floated over? It was exhilaratingly depressing and quite a showstopper for a couple of days. I look forward to more forest fires in our futures and more lung cancer rates going up and more cancer rates overall going up because we did this to ourselves. We did this to ourselves. So, yeah, I don't have much to say about that. I'm gonna put some red lentils in a jar. I actually just spent like 20 minutes today peeling off a label that Mom had plastered over this. And for the longest time, I didn't want to get rid of it, even though it looked really gnarly because I had her handwriting on it. But over time and oxidization and whatever chemical processes go on, over time, her handwriting started fading. And I'm at that point in processing her death that I didn't feel too badly about peeling it off, so I peeled it off, and now we have a clear jar. How is Fred? Fred is great. If you follow Aaron on Instagram, you can see Fred almost every other day. We don't need Goo Gone. We had rubbing alcohol. These are red lentils that I bought. I think this is a 4-pound bag. I think I got it for $3.49. So good deals to be had everywhere if you are patient and look for them. There we are. Lentils. Okay, I am going to clear the sink and I am going to rinse off our veggies so that we can cook them. I got a beautiful head of cauliflower for $2. It's pretty gorgeous. This is double the rate as when the pandemic first started, but $2 for a head of beautiful cauliflower is kind of a rare deal now, so I snagged it. So I'm a little bit hungry right now. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm going to take the cauliflower stems and leaves, and I'm gonna just microwave them, and I'm gonna eat it with our leftover peas, which I made on our last live, so it's been a while. I think they're still good, but I just need a little something to kind of tide me over while we make Grandma her dumps. So that is what I have just decided to do. No rhyme or reason. I just feel like it. Should probably cut them up a little bit. Should I be using a cutting board? Probably. It would be way more efficient, but this is where my headspace is at tonight. Efficiency is overrated. I'm also thinking I might try to pickle some of the cauliflower here. I have some extra pickling liquid and I've been wondering what I can pickle with it. I should have bought some carrots, but I didn't pass by a store that had carrots outside. Been very low effort. Very, very low effort. So, microwave. 2.5 minutes? I don't know. Onwards with Grandma's dumps. I made the dough yesterday so that it could rest, and I am ready to assemble. Before any of you ask, this is the same filling as the filling that we made last time. It is just defrosted. So it's pork, carrots, scallions, and seasoning. Here's our dough. I mean, giardiniera is basically pickled vegetable medley, and it has cauliflower in it. If you've not had the pleasure of having giardiniera, it is time to try. And I don't have my computer with me, so I'm going to be very sporadic with responding to comments. If you want me to answer something, try to tag me in orange so that I have a higher likelihood of seeing you. Here's my leftover mush. Tomorrow I'm going to a clothing swap in Brooklyn, organized by a friend and her friends, and I'm pretty excited to have that opportunity to trade off clothes, get new clothes, not buy anything, and see friends. But I've been kind of going through this kind of a mentally torturous process of staring at all these pants that my mom bought me when I was still skinnier, and feeling guilty that I never got to wear them, and now I'm too big to fit into them. And it's like, I know for my own mental health I shouldn't want to fit into them, but I do, if only just to have mom's efforts not go to waste. So that's something that I've been mulling over. The last clothing swap, I could have brought them too, but I wasn't ready, and I don't know if I'm ready tomorrow either, so maybe I'll wait for the next time to get them off my hands. But I've learned from giving away so much of mom's stuff that sometimes I can give away things too quickly and regret it later. So I'm just trying to give myself the time and the space to not rush through letting go of things that I know just don't fit into my life anymore. The air quality today is okay, but it's likely to get worse tonight, is what the city government's notifications just told us. I don't know how to clean the dirty dozen. Water, rinsing, but you know, pesticide is pesticide. I'm sure you can Google that shit. I'm not the best authority to give you tips on how to clean pesticides off your produce. Air quality is air quality, guys. We all live on the same earth. Some people will just experience the detriments of our actions sooner than others, but, you know, all in due time, we will all feel the effects of all of our collective sins together. They don't necessarily make me feel bad. I think I just miss mom, and I think I miss the self that could have fit into them, because yes, a part of me still wants to be skinnier and younger and more innocent and mothered, honestly. Those pieces of clothing represent a me that was in the past with mom still, you know, so they represent a reality that I sometimes wish were still accessible to me. The last time I ordered Chinese takeout, I was not enthused with the quality, so you have to know your Chinese takeout place well. Some of them just do one thing best. I don't know what you should order. Are you asking me because I'm Chinese? That's kind of racist. But no, seriously, I don't know. Chinese takeout is very hit and miss for me. Some places do things great, some places do things awfully, and I just don't even bother anymore. Ironically enough, I feel like a lot of Chinese takeout places do fried wings best because that's kind of their clientele, and it's kind of hard to just fuck up fried chicken, so. But yeah, I don't know. Just thinking out loud, you know. It's hard. Don't rush through giving things away. I gave away a lot of things. Some of them I regretted giving away, but most of them I didn't. I got rid of a lot of stuff. I'm really glad that I had that impulse and follow through to get rid of things while I was still numb from grief, because had I kept all of those things, they would weigh on me heavily. And I'm just really glad that I took the opportunity while I was still in the thick of not feeling things to get rid of them, because at a certain point, I have all the memories that I need. I really don't need more reminders of what used to be. I don't think it's doing myself or my mom a disservice to let go of those things. I think it's just the natural rhythm of life has carried me thus far, and I need to be able to move with it rather than be stuck with heaviness that will make moving forward in life difficult. So I think after losing my mom, one skill that I've practiced more and more is trusting my gut. And it is quite invaluable to have that relationship with myself now, that I'm practicing understanding why I feel the way I feel, and being in touch with knowing what I need and honoring the impulses that come to me. Because I think for so long in my life, I've always relied on other people's approval to do things or not do things. And most of it is because of self-confidence issues, and probably because of you know, being an immigrant at a young age, twice over, before the age of 8, has probably made me very susceptible to feeling like I needed the approval of others. But now that I'm older and motherless and grown, and I've gotten through the life experience of getting fired and still feel like I can survive, I've proven to myself that I'm capable of doing more, of making decisions for myself that I didn't trust myself to make before. So chicken gizzards are usually found where chicken is sold in the grocery store. If your store doesn't carry it, your store is probably very white, like very incredibly white. I usually see it next to chicken liver and chicken hearts. And if you have a store where it's all very local, homey, and butchery, where people cut up the animal for you, then yeah, definitely ask your butcher if they have it. Okie dokie. Let's wrap. What should I eat first? Maybe I'll eat first. Not quite cooked yet, though. Filling. Smells good. Using a beautiful spoon that my middle school friend Margaret gave me. I believe she purchased this from the Lower East Side Tenement Museum. It was in the gift shop for some reason. For folks who want to do any reading about the passing away of a parent and the kind of entrenched psychology and emotion that can accompany that, especially if you didn't have like the greatest relationship with your parent. I highly recommend a very recent article that Jiayang Fan, F-A-N is her last name, just wrote in the New Yorker. Her first name is spelled Jiayang, Jiayang, and her last name is spelled F-A-N. She wrote I'm gonna tell you that it is a very difficult piece to read. It is very long. It details her relationship with her mother. They were both immigrants, and growing up with her mother as basically the child of a single parent, and the difficulties that they faced, and also chronicling her taking care of her mom when her mom was diagnosed with ALS. It's a very difficult journey that she's had. Her mom passed away about 3 months after mine did. She actually reached out to me through the recommendation of a mutual viewer and reader of hers. And I'm really glad that she got to write that piece. I hope that it was healing and therapeutic for her. I will say that the ending is very rewarding. I love the ending, but the article itself is stylistically novel, brilliant, I think, but subject matter is very intense. It goes into a lot of I think generational trauma without naming it as such, and the intricacies of the kind of borderline abusive relationship that she had with her mom. Yes, Labiba, that is the title. A mother's exchange for her daughter's future. It is an intense narrative, for sure. But I think rarely do we see this kind of literary memoir of sorts that is so telling of the inner workings of how grief can bring up so much with it. Just the sediment of all that we've accumulated while our loved ones were still alive, all the modes of love that we accepted, including abusive love. So you've been warned. It is not an easy read, but it is a very skillful piece, I think. I think it is very difficult to become a parent of your parent when you're still so young and impressionable. It really messes with your head about what kinds of roles you should be taking on, what kind of person you should be, the responsibilities you should have. And I think she dealt with all of that at a very young age. And especially as an immigrant, when things are already so disorienting, it is extremely difficult to understand what is right and what is wrong. So there is a lot there in that piece. Hi, Houston. We were talking about an article in the New Yorker, recently published by Jiayang Fan, about her mom passing away and how she processed that grief. I've heard about that book by Jeanette McCurdy. I'm very curious about it. But I don't think I'm going to read books on grief for a while. I think I made this dough too wet. It's starting to stick to each other. Oopsies. Guess I better work fast. Does anybody have exciting plans for the weekend? I'm probably never gonna read Crying in H Mart. I think I have been recommended that book way too many times, and it just unnerves me now. So if you enjoyed it, great. I will not be making any meat for my dinner, no. It is purely a legume fest. I almost never make meat for myself, so on the rare occasion I do it, it's probably for a friend. I don't know what's happening with my white balance. Thank you, Ram. My dumplings always look so perfect. You call this perfect? Great. Anybody can make perfect dumplings if they just have low standards, you know? Oh no, I know you're not recommending it to me, but after my mom died, literally every day somebody would ask me, have you read Crying in H Mart? I think you would like it. And then I think it was that period of time in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm just never gonna read that book, because I felt like people were recommending it to me because of a dead mom and an Asian heritage. Kind of pissed me off, actually, to be recommended that over and over again. I also have another Chinese friend who feels very strongly about that book and about how it feeds into the narrative that we often see with a lot of like Asian identities or like immigrant identities, where everything about the family is circled around food. It's just like a very tropey thing to write about too. So yeah. If you want veggie dumplings, Chinese stores sometimes have like greens only dumplings, but I would say Korean stores like H Mart, they have a lot of vegetarian options. My current freezer is filled with Korean vegetarian dumplings, and while Grandma doesn't like them, I like them very much. They definitely hit the spot when I'm feeling for a quick dump. One a.m. You should definitely go to sleep if you're feeling that tired. Oh yeah, chive pockets are good. Yes. I'm not vegetarian. I just don't tend to eat meat unless I'm out in a restaurant with friends who want to eat meat. I don't really subscribe to any isms for the most part. I think it's great if people want to eat no meat or no animal products, but I veer on the side of not really setting up restrictions for myself and just being mindful about balance. And also sourcing, right? Sourcing meat, especially. I have beautiful lips. Okay, thank you. I'm not even showing you my lips right now. I don't know. Should we time out Random Gamer? He seems a little... Random Gamer, do you want to be timed out? I think you might be making a couple of us uncomfortable. So. I don't know what your intention is, but that's the effect you're having. Thought you should know. Creeper's gonna creep. You know, sometimes I feel like some creepers don't actually know that they're creepy. So giving the internet benefit of the doubt is a tricky thing, and I don't do it always, but when I have the mental energy to do it, I'd like to just give them a heads up and be like, hey man, here's what you're doing. In case you didn't know, some people might not like what you're doing. And then it's your decision whether or not you continue the behavior. Oh, but I see we have timed Random Gamer out. The mods have made the decision. Sometimes people just want to be seen, you know? I guess at the end of the day, lonely people be lonely. And sometimes they get so lonely, they don't know how to get out of the lonely. So, I get it. This dough is too wet. Yikes. Cynthia, I would first verify if that letter is legitimate. Some people will do sketchy stuff by giving you scary notifications. I would call up your doctor and ask your doctor to confirm that there was a breach of data first before responding to that letter. You should verify the source of the letter before you give away even more information. We now live in a world where people will use various methods to get your personal data, so be careful. Some things that sound like they are in your best interest are actually scams. Just call up your doctor first, and if your doctor doesn't know, then call up the lab. Oftentimes, if your personal information has been leaked, there's absolutely nothing they can retrieve it. So I would be curious about what they were saying your next step should be. Can you fix wet dough with a little starch when you roll it out? Yes, absolutely. I'm just lazy. I don't make hot pot broth because I don't eat hot pot. Hot pot broth is probably best left to the pros. They fill it with sodium that you probably are not likely to do when you make it at home. It's what makes hot pot taste delicious is that level of sodium. So, you know, if you try to do it yourself, it might not be satisfying. I don't know how to make soup dumplings. It's not worth it for me to make soup dumplings. It's a highly technical thing to make. You have to make the dough very precisely to get that right texture. It's just so much labor going into it. I would never make soup dumplings at home. I'm also honestly just like not a huge fan of soup dumplings. I like steamed buns way more. I don't get that much enjoyment out of soupy dumpies. I may be Asian, but that does not mean I cook all things Asian, or that I have knowledge about all things Asian. Just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, Shengjianbao. Shengjianbao is all over the Flushing Chinatown areas. There's Shengjianbao at like every single street food stall in Flushing. So I guess you just really have to be in the right neighborhood to find them. Shengjianbao, unfortunately, I don't think is like quite as mainstream as soup dumplings yet, so you might have to wait a while for restaurants to get on it. But also, you could just buy freezer aisle buns and sear them yourself. Just make sure you use copious amounts of oil so that you can actually fry the bottom. Vegetarian soup dumplings definitely can exist. I mean, if you really wanted to, I guess you could use like a vegan gelatin substitute like agar agar. But the whole point of soup dumplings is it has a rich fatty broth, which, what are you going to rich fatty broth with if you're vegetarian? Alright, we are finished with 1/2 of our dough and most of our filling. So I am going to take a break and eat something now. We have our microwaved cauliflower stems. We have our leftover split peas. Hi, Germany. Grandma does drive me a little insane, but you know, family does that to you. The key is to not let yourself be driven extremely insane. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and quarantining and everything that just happened all together at once, Mom did not succeed at that particular task of not being driven completely crazy, but I aim to do much better at accomplishing that feat, and I think I am. I think primarily not having Grandma live with me 24/7 is extremely beneficial for both of us, honestly. So I'm gonna put a little crunchy. The dumpling dough, yeah, the dumpling dough is on Delish. Indeed. Delish owns most of my stuff now. Delicious. Oh, did Dad just text me? He did. He says, today Philly is relatively normal. How's New York? It's better than 2 days ago, but city government says it might get worse tonight. Thanks for checking in, Dad. All right, guys, you got questions? I have time to read them now. Hi, Belgium, because I'm gonna take a food break with my mush and crunchies. Boston never got hit bad with the smoke. So I hear. I heard from another friend, yeah. I do want it still. The nurse staff on my grandma's floor all know me. They're all entirely friendly. Some of them are so incredibly patient. I don't even know how they do it. True angels. Props to healthcare workers. They do the hard shit day in and day out constantly. It's kind of colorful. New York is having lovely weather today, actually. It's not too hot, not too cold. Very, very sunny. Hello, bored person. I keep thinking today is Sunday, and I'm very happy that it's only Saturday. I feel very grateful to have one more day. Mina, what is that late night snack? Cold skull. I would love to know what you want to eat. Especially a food I've never heard of before. Hi, Costa Rica. Ooh, buttermilk based egg vanilla. You eat it with a cookie. That sounds so good. Do you want it? I would say if 80% of you wants it, go for it. I don't really miss that refrigerator. Surprisingly, I thought I would miss it a lot more, but I don't actually. I'm quite happy. You know what's funny? If anything, I miss my landlord from my last place. He was very responsive. He fixed everything so promptly, and he was just a really stand-up guy as far as landlords go, so. The management here is very meh. Very meh. What time is it now? 7:10. We're about an hour into the live. I would say I'm gonna spend probably at most half an hour doing dumplings, and then I'm gonna make probably like a garlicky green pepper chickpea stir fry. And I'm going to put the cauliflower away so that I can use it later this week. Just giving you a preview of what's coming up. Was there a feature to your current place that made you want to move there? Yeah. Closer to grandma, bigger space. I was originally planning to move here with Aaron actually, so that we would be roommates, but I think I've reached a point in my brain processes where I was like, this is a good time to make a clean break. Start my life on my own. And I think we're both very, very happy with how it turned out. He has his own place, I have my own place. He has a super easy commute. If he had moved here with me, his commute would have still been an hour one way, so. I'm afraid to forage in New York City. I just don't know how clean the soil is. There's also a lot of pollution, air pollution and traffic and stuff like that. But when I went to the Queens Botanical Garden and we went to the little farm section of it with farm school, we did forage some weeds, which included shepherd's purse and mugwort, and I love shepherd's purse. How do I feel about the article mentioned earlier? It absolutely does not remind me of my relationship with my mother for about 90%. It does not remind me, but there's 10% where a couple of paragraphs definitely struck me as something that I could identify with. I think relative to the relationship that Diana had with her mom, my mom was so much more sacrificial. She would have never, ever blamed me or passive aggressively said biting remarks to me. So for that, I feel incredibly lucky and super grateful that my mom was a shock absorber, which is why I think she died at the age of 61. Everything that went wrong in life, she understood it under the framework of it was her fault and she didn't handle something well enough, which is why it turned out less than ideal. And that kind of thinking burns a person out so fast. My mom would have never blamed me for anything. She always blamed herself for everything, which, you know, pros and cons, but because she never emotionally abused me that way, I grew up in a much more healthy and caring environment between the two of us. And we did have our disagreements and we did not see eye to eye, and there was still a lot of cultural barriers and generational barriers in place for us to really reach that place of complete understanding. But I think my mom modeled for me what love looks like unconditionally. And now I think my job is to understand the limits of what unconditional love should be for myself, so that I don't end up burning myself out like she did. I wouldn't mind dying that early, but I don't want to die because I was so stressed by my own feelings of inadequacy and responsibility and just literally crushed to death by the weight of her sense of obligation. So I think after my mom died, a lot of my brain veered towards, after the initial 3-4 months of complete numbness and anxiety and like disorientation, my brain veered towards fuck it all. Like, fuck it. It's just not important. None of this is significant. Because I had seen what it meant to die and the aftermath of what it means to die and be gone forever and to leave everyone that you've loved and cared for behind, and how they go on living anyway, whether or not you are there to always save them from their potential mistakes, which is something that my mom always wanted to do. She always wanted me to prevent making any mistakes. She always stressed about my life decisions because she thought they were unsafe decisions, and she wanted me to take more secure paths in life. And without her here, I've done okay. I've survived. And so in a lot of ways, I've proven mom wrong, in that she didn't need to be there helicoptering parenting me all along, because I would have been fine. But she's also right in that in so many of the ways that I function now, I have internalized her voice of reason and unreason, because you can't take the good without taking the bad too. So mom is very much a part of me, and I can't ever say, well, I'm my own person now, because I'm very much composed of mom, composed of dad too. But I think ever since mom died, I've allowed more of her to soak into me. The 10% of the article that I felt like I could relate to, I posted on my Instagram the day that I read it. It was mostly about, there was a section where she was talking about taking the train up to Connecticut and feeling like, how could you move forward in time while still moving backwards in your mind? A lot of the things about trying to save her mom and her mom trying to save her, and neither of them being really able to save each other, that I connected to a lot. I do not want ever to have kids. So, yeah. I think it's a fantastic memoir. That article was very impactful. And it highlighted in all the ways that while she and I were both young immigrants to the States with moms who were kind of separated from the dad already, that things can split in so many different ways depending on so many different circumstances. And I think, all things considered, I am an incredibly lucky person. And I have it really fucking easy right now, even though the last 2 years have been a lot to deal with. Things could always be worse. For me, things could be a lot worse. And they're not. And so I'm just really lucky. 他一定很爱你，关心。Yeah, of course she loved me and cared for me. But mom had a personality where she cared about everyone. And that's why she burnt out. She cared about literally everyone, even people who shouldn't have mattered in her life. I might have said this before, but when I was cleaning out Mom's computer and all her kind of USB flash drives and electronics, I found that she had written a resignation letter in 2018, wanting to retire. Like a fleshed out letter saying how grateful she was to have worked there all these years and how she needs to take care of her mom now, and she's looking forward to tapping in a couple of people on her team as, you know, her successors in her role. And I later found out from a coworker that my mom's boss basically talked my mom out of retiring because my mom was so good at her job that she basically did the job of multiple people, and to have lost my mom would have meant, you know, more work for her boss to replace her, I guess, and more work for everyone because my mom was so good at her job. And I think I felt anger for the first time in my grief when I discovered that detail. I mean, I think my immediate anger was like, damn, Mom left me, like, fuck, I'm so angry. Oh, so she left me no instructions. Fuck, now I have to like go through all this paperwork to figure out what the fuck is going on with all these accounts and like how the fuck do I handle this? Like that kind of anger, yes. But this was the first time that I felt anger towards something that I think caused Mom's death. And I don't think I will ever forgive her boss for not letting her retire. I don't care if any of my mom's coworkers watch this and hears me say this. I never liked my mom's boss. When I was in elementary school, my mom used to take me to her office especially during summertime when I was off from school. The first time I met her boss, I did not like her. And I think because I've immigrated at a very young age, I've developed a habit of like split judgment when I meet someone, of sussing out the danger levels of a person by reading into their facial expressions, their voice tonalities, just the way they present themselves, and her voice, the way she spoke with such sugar in her voice, such syrupy, cloying niceness. That was just impossible to be genuine. And if I'm seething with disdain right now, I mean it. If you want to retire, fucking retire. You deserve to not work your entire life. Especially now that we are approving the biggest budget for our military. All of that money that we're not taking out as debt from other countries' loans, we're taking out of our taxes. The government automatically takes what we earn as part of our labor to feed wars and violence domestically and internationally, and they call it defense, when it is exactly the opposite of that. The more we work, the more we contribute to war, both internal war on our systems of health, mental well-being, and peace, and also the more we contribute to war externally, literal war, literal violence, literal killings and maimings and destructions of other people. So fuck work, retire. If you can afford it, retire. Stop feeding into the wars that we have wielded both inside and outside. Anyway, dumplings. Let's go. Don't ever let someone else talk you out of retirement. If they do, they're either really fucking sheepish or they're really fucking wolfish. And you deserve to be free. You deserve to be free. And your freedom will directly impact the freedom of others. You can't know what liberation is until you opt out of the system that we've created for ourselves. We live in a jail. We live in so many jails that we have created for ourselves. We hold these capitalistic threats over everyone's head that makes them afraid to retire, even when their body and mind and soul is ready to not have to be cogs anymore. We take away security from everyone so that we can keep them enslaved as units of production. Mom was always enslaved in some way. And now I'm trying to do my best to live in my own honor and live in memory of her and not stay entrapped in that mental prison. And she has given me the means to at least liberate myself for a period of time, and I'm gonna use it, especially because I have no child to leave it behind to. I don't need to build wealth for myself. I just need to survive. And I would really like to taste what survival means without capitalism screaming in the back of my head always. I think about it every day. What if I'm gonna die next year? What would I choose to do right now if I am going to die next year? What would I choose right now if I knew I only had 6 months? I think about it every day because Mom just died. I was talking to her and then 7 hours later she was dead. So it's not impossible to just die. We spend years of our life worrying about the future. Worrying about things that might never ever happen. It's just not worth it. Yeah, Mom never even got to cash in her Social Security after working for all those years. Fuck, man. Do I believe in TCM? I don't know if I believe or don't believe. I don't know much about it. My parents do. I also was talking to my uncle about TCM, and I think he says that TCM practitioners used to be way more knowledgeable than they are now. They're not what they used to be anymore, So I think everything's changed with the times a lot. Traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. Hi, Malaysia. Our society encourages us to commit violence against ourselves all the time. So once we become aware of that facet of our modern culture, we must do all we can to prevent that from happening to us if we care about surviving. Our culture does not want us to survive. You have to find alternative ways of being if you want to survive. Even if you are surviving, it's a false sense of thriving that society feeds on you. It tells you to always achieve more. That is an insatiable hunger that becomes destructive. My mom had underlying conditions like high blood pressure. But those are things that you don't expect to just kill you suddenly until it happens. Which is why you have to be aware of what your body can handle and what it can't handle. Sometimes you keep pushing your body to the limit because that's what our society tells us to do. That's what our society tells us our bodies should be capable of handling. At a certain point, we stop listening to our bodies and we listen to external forces that have hidden agendas, and we take their truths to be infallible, when all along their truths are truths for profit, not for well-being. Do we know how to be well outside of the context of money and status and power? Do we know what it means for ourselves to define for ourselves what well-being means? Or do we constantly look for external definitions of what well-being is? We don't listen to ourselves anymore. Everything from expiration dates to pop science regarding health trends and diet trends. We just take it for granted that other people's words work for us. Most of the time they don't. The world does not run on philanthropy. Philanthropy itself is a child of exploitation. The only reason why we need philanthropy is because we have agents of exploitation taking away resources from a certain portion of the population, and then they come back and they give it to you and say they're the good guys, when all along they were the ones who created the situation for you to be in a place of need and insufficiency. They created the situation that you're in. How did they get the money to do philanthropy with? What are the means they used to acquire those resources? From whom did they extract those resources? Was it willingly begotten, or was it stolen? Was it taken with permission, or was it actually just legal robbery, and sometimes illegal? Yes, you can use another form of starch. Of course, you can use whatever starch you want. This is tapioca starch, you can use cornstarch. You can probably use potato starch. And I think it's okay to cry. Obviously, I don't know why our society tells us crying is a sign of weakness. Crying is you acknowledging what you feel. Crying is a form of life affirmation. Crying means you are alive enough to be impacted by things such as loss and injustice. Crying is good. Crying means you are allowing yourself to live. And everyone who tells you that you shouldn't cry, that you should get over it, is under the spell of this culture of productivity that knows no bounds. It knows no shame. All I can ask you to do is to be brave and to keep giving. To what end? To what end do we keep giving? Crying is us taking the time to take a break from constantly doing in order to actually be in touch with feeling. Because doing without feeling is a kind of rape. Okay? We have gotten so used to being raped. It's not good, bro. It's not good. But congratulations, we made enough dumplings to last another week. And so it goes. Life continues with dumplings. Now we get to cook a little bit after I do dishes. Well, I get to decide how full to make the dumplings, so I can always just adjust how much filling I'm putting into the wrappers. Magic is possible when you're flexible. make a very garlicky green bell pepper chickpea thing. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're ready. I hope you are ready to have some garlic in your lives. And maybe we'll use one of our new pots, eh? How about that? Let's see how our chickpeas cooked. 25 minutes, manual pressure. Looking good. Are we cooked? Yeah, pretty flavorless, but we're cooked. I did put salt in here. I was thinking of keeping the water to make brownies with. See if that white one really sticks. Maybe for another time. Today I'm gonna use the one that's already out. That one. I will keep enough to fill this jar maximum. What's your favorite on Delish? Tim on Delish eating Aaron's meals. I see. I see. Chickpea overboard. This, I believe, was a honey jar, as indicated by the ridges. Shall label it. Guys, that Thanksgiving episode was no joke. I, for some reason, thought I was going to get it all done in one day, and then I was like, huh, right, about that. I thought I was going to get it done in 2 days, and I was like, please let me get it done in 2 days. And I think that's when the walls were like sweating. Aquafaba. Today is June 10th. So chickpea juice can be used as an egg substitute. Some people use aquafaba in cocktails where egg whites are required, and vegan baking often uses chickpea liquid as an egg substitute. It gives the brownies a very moist consistency that I'm a huge fan of, so that's what I like to use it for. Going with not sharpening my knife. Yes, fudgier. Very much so. I have the sharpener. I have the whetstone. I'm just too lazy to do it, I guess. I might ask a friend to bring over knives so I can feel like I'm sharpening everything all at once. It's like you have to soak the stone beforehand and then you have to wait for it to dry before you put it away. So like that feels like a time commitment for me, and until I can do so many knives all at once, it just doesn't seem worth it. Why you do that? Guys, such exciting news. Not really good either. I just got my period twice in a month. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but my body is like very out of whack. I don't know to what extent I need to have a reason to blame it on stress anymore, but I don't feel particularly stressed, at least relatively speaking. So I feel like it could just be an environmental thing now. I don't know anymore. In the past, I would have blamed it on stress, but I'm just like, I don't think it is valid anymore to keep saying stress. I don't really have a full-time job to be stressed about. I don't know what's going on. And this is on the heels of me having one of the most painful periods I've ever experienced too, on my last cycle. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, technically, I could have endometriosis and just not know it. Technically, I could be undiagnosed. I truly don't know. I think this was $7 or $8 from the Salvation Army. First time cooking with it. Let's see how it performs. think I need to toast some cumin seeds in there. Luckily for me, I got a whole pound of it. Yay. Gonna go in with some Kashmiri chili powder for a little bit of spice. Let's see what else. Gonna do a little bit of black urfa chili. Really nice and fragrant, kind of salty. A lot of umami. Going in with some green garlic scapes. Never used it in a stir fry before. I'm pretty fascinated to see how it'll do. A little bit of smoked black cardamom. And some old fenugreek that I have. Going in with a little bit of porcini mushroom powder. And some turmeric. So I guess this is kind of Indian-ish in terms of spicing choices. And I'm going to turn the heat to a super, super low. Smells pretty good so far. And we're going to go back and cut up our peppers. before the peppers go in, I'm gonna go in with 2 cubes of that fermented tofu for saltiness and a little bit of funk and umami. I'm also just trying to use that shit up because I bought it like maybe over a year ago and it was already expired by the time I brought it. Not that it matters, I haven't gotten sick from it, and also it's salty as fuck, which means it's probably preserved forever, but you know, I would like to make space in my pantry for newer ingredients, so I must start using some of the old shit to make room for the new shit. This is the fermented bean curd that I speak of. I'll just let you know that the ingredients in here are water, soybean, wine, salt, and chili. And because the chickpeas are already cooked, I'm just going to let this cook the bell peppers until the bell peppers are pretty much a little bit past bright green, because I like my veggies a little bit softer than is optimal. But fuck it, we're not trying to live forever. So far, I like this pan. So far. Would you guys call this a pot or a pan? I've always been confused by how Americans label this shit. We'll go in with a little bit of black pepper. And probably some white pepper too, now that I'm thinking about it. We're gonna put away some of these chickpeas because I'm not gonna cook them all today. And I'm gonna use some of the liquid that drained in here in our current stir fry because it's starting to get a little bit fondy on the bottom there. And I need a little bit of liquid to release that brown goodness, and this will be perfect. And that released beautifully. This is a good pot. Look at that. The bottom deglazed almost instantaneously. That's pretty impressive. Sign of a good pot. It's not the heaviest pot, but for $8, it'll do. I also just remembered that I still have some really old scallions in the fridge. And we should probably use that up. Hi, England. We are gonna need more salt in that baby. I've also found out that using the fermented tofu cubes actually helps thicken up the sauce into like consistency that you would get from adding a little touch of cornstarch. I'm not sure what it is about the properties of that tofu, but I like it. I like the effect it has on saucy concoctions. So I'm just cutting a little bit of cauliflower into here, almost like rice cauliflower texture. Slicing it very thinly across the floret tops. Just for a little speckle of texture, added nutritional impact for my future meals, in case I get too lazy to eat more vegetables. Thinking a little bit for the future, and also just for excitement on camera of watching me slice without a cutting board. This is very dangerous. Please don't do this at home. Especially if your knife is not sharp. Okay, I think we're done. We're gonna make some labels. Chickpea 610. Chickpea 610. I missed out on all the comments because they stopped displaying on my phone. I've never seen this before. It's hypnotizing. Squeaky cheese. Yeah, I do have cheese, but I think I'm gonna put it in when I serve it. I don't want it melting in right now. But I have this like Bulgarian cream cheese that's very salty. should probably taste some before I put it in. Let's taste some. Ooh. Yes. Bulgarian cheese comes in very many different types. There's some crumbly and some less crumbly. This one is very spreadable, almost like a cream cheese, like a uber salty cream cheese. Mmm. Mmm. Let's put in some cheese now. That's what it looks like. It cuts really smooth. Like that. It's very spreadable. Like that. It's very creamy. If you eat it straight, it tastes almost saltier than feta, but right now, eaten with hot shit that isn't overly salted, it tastes fine. It's adding like a cooling, fatty element to it. Kind of coats your tongue a little bit like hummus, almost. Delightful. Delightful. I would say that's a successful dinner. It's gonna taste so good with different kinds of cheeses added on top. I bet I could melt some mozzarella on this too, and it would be good. What is surprising to me is maybe it's because it's too hot, but I'm not really tasting a whole head of garlic in here, even though I'm pretty sure we did put a whole head of garlic in here. Do you think a whole head of garlic is too much to use in cooking? If you answered yes, you are hereby banned from attending all future live streams. It's an honor system, so. Good day, Australia. Good day. This is fancy. I'm only using jars because I don't want to spend money on glass Tupperware. And also, I was a dumb piece of shit because Mom had so much Pyrex storage that I just gave away because I didn't have room for it in my old apartment. Would I have kept a lot more for kitchen stuff? Yeah, probably. But you know what? I think I kept just enough to remember her by and not be overwhelmed by the presence of her things, and I don't regret it. And I think most of the stuff that I went to give away went to good homes, so I'm not gonna dwell on it too much, except I'm dwelling on it now, so what a hypocrite I am, but that's it. What's done is done. What's done is done, baby. Okay, I'm gonna keep a little bit in the pot for me to eat. And we've got our concoctions labeled, okay? So that we don't forget what date we made it. And we do our best to eat it within the date. Within like 4 days of the date, although I just ate something that was definitely 7 days old today. But thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you had some fun watching me make dumplings and create chickpea stir fry thingy majiggy. You kind of missed everything, Mike. I don't know if I'll go live tomorrow, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Take care. Enjoy the fresh air while you can. And eat your vitamins. Bye.